DFM, the station with many faces.
This beat ain't normal.
And they call you, no answer. I say we can call you some more. Yeah, you leave me no choice, so ready to not go up here for your demand. Anyway, the time dress on. When I saw you last night at the club.
Tune in to DFM Radio every Friday morning at 9 a.m. with your one and only Toluva Madriola as she brings to you the Youth Compass Show live on DFM Radio Manchester, sponsored by Dangerous Media.
I'm in the middle of the street. How did I ever let you?
Where the youth at?
This is DFM, the station with many faces.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Youth Compass on DFM. As you all know, my name is Toluwa. Good morning once again. And we've got our lovely guest with us, Mr. Femi. Please introduce yourself.
Morning. Thank you for having me.
We've also got Mr. Dennis Joseph.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to have me on the show.
Nice to have you. So today, the topic that we've decided to talk about is depression, because we see that a lot of young people are going through it and they might not know how to manage it.
Right.
So the first question I've got for you is, what do you think is depression? What can you define depression as?
Depression is a thing. Okay. Depression is a thing that has to do with emotions. Okay.
Yeah.
People have feelings, and then when the feelings turns out to become something else, it grows out to become a depression. It's not like the way we feel it, like we feel something. It's something burning in you. It's more like a distraction, and then it continues to grow, and it burns and burns and burns, and it can't be really dangerous, to be honest with you. So depression is a thing, more like a feeling, but worse than a feeling.
Yeah. So I did some research and I found out the meaning of depression, and it said to be a feeling of severe misery and dejection.
Right.
It's also seen as a disorder.
As a disorder, yeah. Someone being disordered,
so
yeah.
From that definition, we can see that depression is where people feel very down.
Right.
They don't feel happy necessarily.
Right.
They just feel dejected, and no matter how hard they might try to be happy about situations, they just feel a constant form of misery.
Right.
Which is quite sad. And the fact that young people have to face this and go through this is very overwhelming when you think about it.
Absolutely.
So we can see that young people go through depression, and most of them don't know how to deal with it or how to overcome depression. So another question I've got for you guys is, what do you think causes depression? What do you think might be factors that cause depression?
Exactly. That was I was hoping you asked that question. Because before you get to the root of the problem, you must know actually what the cause is.
Yeah.
And depression, to me, is a state of the mind. It's a psychological thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it could arise from anything. One, children who go through depression could be as a result of bullying in school.
Yeah.
It could be as a result of parents being separated.
Mm-hmm.
It could be as a result of abuse. It could be anything. Anything could cause depression.
Definitely.
Anything. And once a child is depressed, if you don't get to the root of that thing, you need to let them come out of that shell. Some of them will not tell you what has caused it, why they are in that mood. But you need they need a psychologist. They need counseling for them to get out of that shell, and for them to be, talked to, counsel, and give them confidence and encouragement to get out of that shell. So it could be as a result of anything.
Yeah. So due to some research that I did, I found that genes could cause you to be depressed, because there's certain genes that people might have that makes them more prone to depression than other people.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
correct.
is sad for the people who have these genes, because it's not like they want to be depressed. They just happen to have these genes. Also, stress can cause depression. Maybe but you're having problems at college, high school, uni. You don't know how to handle your coursework.
Right.
Things are getting a bit too much for you. Deadlines are getting closer.
Right.
So that could cause depression.
It could also be your lifestyle sometimes.
Yeah.
How healthy you are. Do you eat healthy? Do you do exercises and stuff like that? If you don't
I
do
like that, yeah.
people
Yeah.
really you could fall into depression.
Yeah. Another thing that can cause depression is like your hormones as well. Like we see that when young people are growing up, because of the change of hormones in their body and because of how much their body is being developed, it can cause depression as well. Family life can cause depression if their parents are not necessarily close to them, so they feel like dejected, neglected, like they don't have anyone to talk to.
That's true.
If they've gone through any sort of bullying, like you said, any form of abuse, poverty, those are the kind of things that can cause depression. And some of these
Missing home as well. They could be missing home.
Yeah.
When children move from, say, a child is moved from London to Scotland and is missing his friends, that also could cause depression
could
as
cause,
well.
yeah.
They don't have people to talk to. They are missing their friends and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Depression can be really dramatic, dangerous. Just to say, why am I saying this? Depression is more like it's a continuous thing in a person,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Everybody has their ways of controlling issues.
Issues,
All right.
yeah.
Some might feel like, okay, this I don't care, right? I like the attitude of I don't care when an issue comes towards you. People that believe that issues are like more like I don't care, they survive depression a lot. Okay, but the ones that are sensitive, depression is more. Depression affects people more on the terms of when you are into something. So the issue is you have an issue. Let me break it down. You have an issue that is affecting you, and then you keep dragging the issue in your mind upstairs for a lengthy time. So the more you drag it, the deeper you go in. So and then the deeper you go into it, the more destruction you cause to yourself. That's why you see a lot of people like there's great celebrities, big top guys, politicians. They got these issues, but they use exercises like sports to while it away from their system.
Yeah.
All right.
So we see that depression can cause people it can affect their mood. It can affect the way they look at life, the way they look at certain situations. It can affect how they perform at school, work, uni, different places. It can affect a lot of things because depression is something of the mood, something of the mind, something of their feeling. It's not something they can necessarily control. So, how do you think people with depression feel? Like, how do you think they might feel on a day-to-day
symptoms
basis?
of depression? That's the symptoms. People who are depressed or who've got who are actually depressed, they exhibit some symptoms. For children, they could turn to bullying. They could be notorious in class. They don't want to listen in class. They don't want to see anybody. They don't want to have friends. They are just angry at little things. They bottle things up. They lock themselves in their room. They want to be alone. You know, so many symptoms. So many.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with him. Yeah.
The thing that I want to know is how do you think people with depression, like how do you feel like they feel in their mind every day? Because they're just normal people like us. Like you can't just see someone walking down the street and say, "Oh yeah, he's depressed." Like you can't really tell.
It's something you can't tell.
Yeah. So how do you feel like they feel? Because like okay, we know how we feel every day. We wake up, feel a bit tired, but we get over it. We carry on with work or school. Yeah. How do you think they might feel on the inside? Like what emotions do you think might be going through in their mind? What do you think?
The emotions that it would be going in their mind. I based on, let me use this word, based on personal experience. It's something you can't read, which you've just mentioned. Something you can't see. But the kind of feelings that I think it is, it's like it's like a burning anger. All right? Let me give you an example how it is. It's like a burning anger. It's more like a time bomb. All right? It burns. And you feel this unhappiness.
Yes.
All right? You feel very, very unhappy. No matter what, you're completely unhappy. You feel like you're not motivated. You feel like you're left out. Like the world is like, it's like you against the world.
Mm-hmm.
All right? It's really, really dangerous.
Yeah.
And if it got to that stage, you need to talk to somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've asked a few people who I know have been struggling with depression, and I asked them how they feel on a daily basis and
Right.
how they deal with things, if you
Yeah.
know what I mean. So someone said they feel like they are drowning in their own thoughts.
Thank you.
And that person said that, and I thought, wow, that is very deep.
Right.
Like, you're thinking about so many things at the same time.
Right.
That you feel like you're drowning
You're drowning
in
your
your
own
own
thoughts.
thoughts.
Yeah.
So that's quite
That's very correct.
Yeah.
That's very correct.
yeah.
Your mind is everywhere.
Yeah.
You're not settled.
Yeah.
Your brains are not settled.
And it's more like
you can't think
it's
straight.
it's
You're
more
just
like that thing that is
here and
disturbing you.
there.
You want it solved immediately.
Immediately.
And then you just want it shut, just completely shut off. You just want to get out of this situation, but it's something you can't get out of immediately. So and it drags you and drags you and drags you. Keep dragging into it, and then you have different thoughts. I want to use that to solve this, so I can get out of that. I want to use that to solve this, or I get out of that, and then all of it, it's in one packet, right? It's everything in one bucket at the same time. It's a time bomb.
Yeah. Another person said they feel imprisoned and helpless. So
Brilliant.
they feel like they can't talk. No one can, no matter who they say their problems to,
It can't help you.
it can't help them.
Alright.
Like, they just feel like they're stuck in that same position. There's nothing that they can do about it.
That's
Which is quite terrifying to even know that young people are going through this,
right.
feeling that at a very young age. That's quite scary.
I'm really surprised that young people are going through that.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's quite scary. Because I only know advanced people having that. Like, you have families, you have, like, let me say families for wives and kids. You have to take care of them. You have to handle them. You have to care for them. And then you have this fear. Everyone has fear. So depression starts with fear. Okay, let me put it that way. So that's all my own experience. It starts with fear. When you are afraid, really, really afraid, and then this frighten doesn't go away. It continues. First day, you still have the same thought. Second day, the same thought. Third day, the same thought. And this thought continues, and then you don't know the outcome of what is going to happen. So it's like you are hoping that this is going to change in the near future, but you don't know how.
Yeah.
And then that involves fear. And that fear is what bites you, eats you continuously. That's what I see in there.
Yeah.
I think, let me add one or two things.
Yeah, that's fine.
When people are depressed, just like my colleague said, it's a state of fear. It's a state of dejection. How do you get out of it? You are looking for a way out. You don't seem to know the way out. And that is when people need counseling. And the most funny thing about depression is you are the only one that can help yourself.
That's true.
No one can help you.
Right.
You can get counseling.
Yeah, which
They'll
will
tell
guide
which
you,
will
but
guide
you need to put in that
You
effort.
need to put in that
To come out of
effort
it.
To
Yeah.
come out
Coming
of it.
out of it, it has to be with you.
Has to be you.
It has to be with you. It's just you. It's not someone else. You have to find. It's like a path. You have to find a path to come out of it. You have to find that state of mind, the peaceful part of your mind. Look for it and gain it back. If you gain the peaceful part of your mind back, then you're out of it.
Another thing about depression is it's like we said, it's an emotional thing. It starts with emotion, sadness, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when it lingers and lingers and lingers, it becomes a health issue. You could be having a headache. You could be having pain in any part of your body.
Sleepless
And that
nights.
sleepless night, insomnia, that makes it worse.
Yeah.
That makes it worse.
Right.
So, when you are being counseled, whoever is in a depressed state needs to put in a lot of effort. That's why I'm so concerned with kids. How do kids get out of this? For kids to get out of this, they need to be showed love. They need to be, given that assurance, that confidence.
Yeah.
That's the only way kids can. Adults, you can talk to adults and say, you do this, you do this. But kids are still. If the funny thing is, kids of age of 6, 7, 8 have depression. They have depression. And how do they get out of this? They need love. They need love. They need to be, motivated and, given that assurance that, look, everything is going to be well. Most importantly, they need to be loved.
Yeah.
That's true.
Another person said that they feel lost or like they have lost something, but they don't know what it is and where they had lost it.
Well, that's new to me. That's new to me. Like I've mentioned before, based on personal experience. It's not what everybody want to talk about. You are depressed. It's hard to see. It's hard to know. It's a feeling. But it starts with fear. So, but that person says they've lost something and they can't find it.
If they've lost something, when you lose something and they don't know what it is, it could be their confidence.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah.
They could have lost their confidence. They can't go out in the street anymore. They can't talk to friends. And all these come as a result of fear. When fear sets in, you become sad and dejected. And every other thing, boom, 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 just starts to fall on you.
Yeah, like a snowball effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
a
yeah.
snowball
Yeah,
effect.
that.
Yeah.
But another person said they feel exhaustion and they feel like sleep can't fix it. It's like their problems can't be solved, which is something that we said already. Like
Exactly,
they feel
we
like
said it already.
they sleep, but they still wake up feeling tired, feeling not
They wake
happy,
up-
not
they don't
wanna do
motivated.
anything.
They don't want to do anything.
Do you know, sorry to cut you short, do you know how sleep works? If you know how sleep works, then you know why they are having that feeling.
I'll give you a perfect example of depression. In a different form, like someone who has never had it before. If you've never had depression before, this is how it is. Put it this way. By God's grace, it's not going to happen to anyone, but put it this way. Someone very, very close to you, somebody you never thought that anything would happen to, died. And you cried for just that day, and you cried the next day, and you cried the third day, and you cried the fourth day. You keep crying even after burials. You keep continue crying. All right? You have that fear of feeling like you want to bring something back that you can't get back.
Yeah.
All right? That's depression.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Can I share an experience?
Yeah. That's fine.
I didn't know what it was in the first time, but after so many months and years, I now realize it was depression.
Can you just move closer to your mic, please?
I was
Thanks.
I was in the US. I was living alone. I left my family in Nigeria and stuff like that. And I've been there for about a year, I think. Was it a year? No. I was there for about 6 months.
6 months.
And I started having this feeling. I don't know.
The feeling like you're missing something.
I just started having some feelings.
Some feelings that something is out of you.
I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And I started having pains here and there.
You'll be
and
having
stuff
this
like
mood, being angry.
that. I couldn't sleep. I get home from work. I try to sleep. I can't sleep. And what I later found out was I was missing my family.
Yeah.
So that's why people with depression, what that thing is, what's causing that depression, they won't know it the first time,
Yeah.
but it's in their subconsciousness.
Yes.
But
Until
as
they
time-
dig deeper.
Exactly.
Until they go deeper
Until
into
you
it, yeah.
dig deep. That's why I'm saying, whoever is depressed, if it's an adult, you have to help yourself to get out of it. Because if you think deep, you know what is causing this thing. And the only way you can solve it is to get to the root of the cause. And once you get to the root of the cause, you definitely depression.
But
And what I did
sometimes
then
the root
was-
of your cause doesn't solve the problem. Because it's either the root of the cause of your problem is not solved. It's not all the root of the cause of the problems have been solved, because it could be a problem that persists. Okay, and there's nothing you can do about it. All right. So
like the genes.
like the genes.
Like the genes,
there's
okay.
nothing you could do about it. So it remains.
That's scientifically
So
there. You
yeah,
can't take it out.
you can't take it out. So the least you could do is different people have their different ways of doing it.
Yeah.
I found out that going to sauna,
Yeah.
right, helped me a lot. Going to resort, relaxing in the water, like having a holiday,
Yeah.
changing environment, that helps me a lot.
Yeah. That's a very good contribution as to how we can overcome depression.
Right.
And that was my second question. My third question
Your third question.
that was coming up. I was going to ask, how do you think we can overcome depression? How do you think young people can overcome depression? What do you think will be able to help them?
Help them, yeah.
Yeah.
So that the first one is doing things that will take your mind off
Yeah.
the thinking aspect that is eating you badly. If you could do that, that's one. There are different ways, but my personal ways is going to sauna, going to damp bath. When you go like a resort, you go to a park, join people, play games,
Yeah.
or go for sporting. Right, you go for sporting, like go for fitness. Be for crying out loud, you could be at a fitness to you for hours. Nobody's gonna eat you up.
Yeah.
All right. Some people go for boxing. They box some punching bags to beat out all those
The
angers
anger, yeah.
in them. So there's so many ways you could handle it. All right.
Yeah.
There's so many ways.
Yeah. You can see a therapist.
You can see a therapist?
I'd recommend that for young people because therapists are actually really
Yeah,
good at helping
therapists
you.
are
Yeah,
to get
helping
your-
them. Yeah, you can see therapists as well.
Psychologists,
But that never worked for me.
I don't know.
General
Yeah,
as a
different
person, yeah.
things work for
So-
different people.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Some people really bond well with their therapist where they are able to like just let their feelings out and emotions out and
All right.
they're able to express themselves.
I'm gonna bridge in here. There's someone online saying, guys, what are you talking about? Yeah, all right. I think our presenter will be able to explain more in short.
We are talking about depression. The people, what things causes depression, how people can manage depression, how to get out of depression. So
Right,
that's
Pello
basically what
Boy,
we're
Pello
talking
Boy,
about.
if you're listening, this what Tolua just explained, that's exactly what we're discussing right here
Yeah.
online. Yeah, go ahead, Tolua. Sorry about for cutting
it's
you short.
okay,
Yeah.
it's all right. Also another thing that I feel like will help people who have depression is to take another view and perspective of life. Try and see life from a different angle and
different
try and see
perspective, yeah.
like the positive things that are there. Don't always focus on the negative.
Yeah.
Because if you focus on the negative too much, then you feel like everything is going wrong.
Everything is going wrong.
Nothing is going right for you.
Right.
So try and see life from a different perspective, different angle, and see what
I
is
agree with
going
you.
well in your life at that moment in
Absolutely.
time.
I want to add one or two things to that as
Yeah.
well. The way I handle depression, when things happen, events that you don't expect, things
Yeah.
that you don't expect, when they happen, is a shock.
It's a shock. Yeah.
It could lead to depression. How I handle my own way of depression is always thinking ahead that such thing is going to happen someday. And when it happens, how am I going to go about it? So I already have this shock absorber to that thing happening, which could cause me depression. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like
Right.
I used to say something. I want to say something here now. When I was young, just like we said, children could go into depression if they lose a loved one. It could be their mom, it could be their dad, it could be anybody. When I was young, do you know, I used to think I love my dad so much. Oh, I could do anything for my dad. And sometimes I sit down and said, wow, someday this man is going to go.
Oh,
Yeah.
How am I going to handle it?
grandpa.
You know? And right there, I start crying.
Oh,
Really?
Right there, I start crying. And that's the way I let it out. So when it eventually happens,
Happens.
You've
I've
already
already
you've
gone
alre-
through that,
You've
prepared
gone through
myself.
the
I've
process.
got the shock absorber.
My brother.
You-
That's
You
how,
were
that's how I
prepared
deal
for
with
it.
my depression. And that's the way I deal with every everything that happen in my
like
life,
it. I
things
like
that are
it.
going to happen now, I start thinking, okay, if it goes negative, what am I going to do? I start looking for a way to go about it.
Yeah.
It's like you got yourself prepared for it
I
already.
got myself prepared for it.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. That's
Yeah,
a very
that's
good,
a good thing.
idea.
Yeah.
I think that's a really, really
Getting
good
yourself
idea.
prepared for the unseen thing.
Exactly.
It's
for
something
the
that you don't know is
unforeseen
going to happen
thing,
now,
yeah.
but you get yourself prepared for it. I like that. I like that's a good idea.
That's really good. Also, I feel like schools need to help children and kids to grow up to be emotionally strong.
Right, yeah.
Because if
Exactly.
they start from a very young age where they're able to deal with things perfectly fine emotionally and they can handle things, then in the long run, when things are getting a bit too hard for them or they're getting a bit stressed, they'll be able to handle it because they've been brought up to be emotionally strong.
The people that can tell you more on how to handle depressions should be, for example, stars, for example, politicians. They have it day in, day out. It's something that exists in them. For example, they have a moment where they're happy, where everything is fine, and then they have the moment where they have to go for elections, right? And within the process of the elections, they have this fear, like we've mentioned,
Am
the
I
fear
gonna
of
win?
that. Am I going to win? Am I
lose?
going to come back? Am I going to be back to where I was before? Or I'm going to lose and be ashamed to my entire process, you know?
Yeah.
So they have it. All right, they have it. Or stars who are hoping they have shows that they run, themes that they become they sign contracts, but they fear that they might not have contract again in the next future. Or someone who's already at the top is being afraid of not
being dragged back down.
of being dragged back down. So
Yeah.
I was at the top and now I'm down below again. I
think-
I don't have anything.
I think parents have a lot to do when it comes to helping their children. For those children who still have parents, you see, parenting is not only about pampering and pampering and pampering and pampering. Sometimes we need to sit our kids down and tell them the truth.
Yeah.
Life is all about good and bad.
Life is a
Life
movement.
is all about evil and good. Life is all about things happen, and the most constant thing in life is change.
Yes.
People change, things change. Even people are talking about the weather. It wasn't like this in 30, 40 years ago.
Right.
But now they are talking about the climate change and this. So things change. We have to let our children know that, look, things like this could happen. Then they'll start asking you questions. Why is it happening? Then you give them logical answers to such things. So when they grow up and they see such thing happening, they know, oh, my parents have told me things like this. So it doesn't really affect them psychologically.
How do you help? This question goes to us and equally the audience out there. How do you help someone who is in a different state of mind, of anger? The person is fully angered. How do you help such person while you yourself is in the state of anger? So two people having the same issues, how do they help themselves?
Both go to a therapist.
That's a bit complex.
Go to a therapist.
If you don't have something, you can't give it.
You can
Yeah,
give. Thank
absolutely.
you. Thank you. If
If
you don't have something, you can't give it. You don't have it, you can't
That's
give it.
complex.
That's complex. Yeah.
So it takes somebody who is calm, who is not in a state of anger,
Yeah.
to counsel.
help.
So you can
somebody
imagine
who is in anger.
a few group of people being in the same room, having the same issue, may have lost someone. They don't sleep. They don't eat. They wake up and they feel angered and they're so quiet the whole day.
That room is a time bomb.
That room is a time bomb.
There's something bound to happen.
There's something bound to happen in
Something bound
that room.
to happen.
Everyone in there could be eating themselves up.
Up, yeah.
That's why when you for
Absolutely
those
dangerous.
for those who are into mental health, when you go to a mental home,
A mental
you don't
home,
put
yeah.
people like that together.
No,
You've got
definitely,
to
yeah.
separate them,
Yeah.
because by the time the anger is coming out, this man is angry. This one is.
One
you
of
can't
the
handle it.
major problem right here in the Western world, it's easily identified, right?
Yeah.
But these things, people don't see them in Africa as you're depressed.
Yeah.
In an African,
You know why people?
ways of
Do you
seeing
know why people don't see them in Africa? Because they've got other big issues.
Everyone's got their problems.
everyone's got
No,
the problem.
apart from that, apart from the fact that everyone's got their problem, the government itself, is the government doing the right thing? Is the government bringing awareness to such things? They are bringing awareness to such things here. Are they bringing awareness to such things in Africa?
Statistically, right? I was at the point in time, I wanted to know, how do Africans go about their daily lives in terms of when they're having depression? Do they even know they have?
They
depression?
don't know.
All right, let me come in there.
80% of the people don't know.
Don't think
they
they know.
They don't know. Yeah, 80%.
Let me come in there.
Of Africans that have it, they don't know they have depression.
There was a friend of mine. I think we were about age of 18 then. He just passed out of secondary school, which in Nigeria we know as the WAEC or whatever.
Right.
GCSE. Yeah.
GCSE. Yeah.
He passed out, and his result was not that good. And you see, a lot of things cause depression, and the dad was angry with him. Was lashing at him and telling him this and this and that. And this guy ran into depression. He took I don't know how he got through it, but even right now, this guy I'm telling you is about 50 years old now. You could still tell his still his state of mind is still not. It's still a bit shaky. If anything happens to him now, he could still go into depression.
Yeah.
So he started secluding himself, started locking himself. Somebody who is known to be playing with friends outside and stuff like that, discussing, gisting, he just went into seclusion. He wasn't talking to anybody. It took, I don't know how they did it. It took the grace of God to get him out of it.
It's always like that. Before we go further, there's a woman online. She says, Uri says, good topics. It's crazy how black people still don't want to speak on mental illness or therapy when daily we go through very problematic things that we've been taught we have to deal with. Therapy, she goes on saying, therapy does not have the power to change things, but it can help you understand things.
Yeah.
A nice one there. Thank you very much. I don't know if I read that properly.
That was really good. That's really good. It is true that
that's from Uri. Actually,
most black people do not want to accept the facts that depression is an actual thing.
Yeah, they might be thinking that you're mental.
Yeah,
or
you're just being sad for no reason.
You're just being sad for no reason.
Yeah,
that's how the Africans see it.
That's actually how they see it.
Sorry to cut you short. What is mental?
Well,
it's to do with your mind.
It has to do with your mind. Thank you very much.
So if something affects your mind, it becomes mental.
It's a mental
and if
issue.
you don't handle it on time, it goes haywire.
Yeah, but
it goes beyond what you can think of.
But the problem with the Africans is that when you're mental, it's like you've taken off your clothes, you're running off the street.
That's where they're getting it wrong.
So they feel ashamed about that, and then they don't want to. No, I'm not mental.
Yeah, they don't want it to seem like they're
weak. Like she's mental. But that's not the point. The point is we have different kind of mental issues. Right, the depression is another type of mental issue that eats you up, and this one, even the depression one, the mental depression, it's a dangerous one.
It's
a lot of people take their lives.
Mental issue. Depression is the beginning. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
And when it's not handled on time, it becomes something else.
Yeah.
Well, during my days at school, we believe that we had a professor at the school that used to talk to himself. And then people say he's crazy.
He's hallucinating.
He's hallucinating. He's not crazy. He's not hallucinating. He's fine. He's normal.
Yeah.
But he's grown too deep into his work.
Exactly.
That he's sometimes not in his state of mind.
Yeah.
He's constantly in his work.
He's in his own world.
He's in his own world. He's trying to solve problems within his mind and his head psychologically. But it's not that he's mad. But he has grown an habit out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, he only himself that he can come out of it.
I personally talk to myself.
Sometimes we talk to ourselves.
I talk to myself.
There's a problem with that.
I don't see any problem in that. Honestly,
I don't.
see any problem
I talk to myself when I'm trying to like remember things or like
you're thinking aloud. People say you're thinking aloud.
Yeah.
You know, when you're talking, you first think about it before you
say it.
So you're thinking aloud.
Thank you. That's the right word. Thinking aloud. How do I solve this now?
okay, if I put that nail there and I hit it on
Yeah,
the head, so it's
talk
a
to
normal
myself.
thing.
But
It's a normal thing.
My wife says, I was like, are you talking to yourself again? I'm like, yeah. He said, why are you talking to yourself again? I said, I'm
You're
trying
to solve things in your head,
right. I'm trying to solve a solution. I'm looking for a solution for a problem.
And that's what people with depression cannot handle.
Yeah.
They can't solve it in their head. So they
I'd
go
rather
into
say it
a
out.
mood. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I'd rather say it out than keep it
Yeah,
inside.
than
So
keep it
I say, but like if I'm angry, I say, look at this woman. She's just doing things that I don't like. Why is she doing that? And then,
You know- do
then
you
the
know-
people was like, who are you talking to?
Do you know sometimes in my house, when I'm in the kitchen, I start talking, I say, these children have put this here again. They've used it, they should put it back. I don't know why they can't put it back.
No,
And I'm talking to myself.
I hear him say stuff in the kitchen, and I just walk away because it's like I'm not involved.
I'm not about it.
I'm not involved.
So people talking to themselves is not really a mental
But,
issue,
yeah.
but
I
it's,
think-
it's just a way of, you know,
I
getting
think
yourself
I think
distressed.
It's
yeah.
a kind of like therapy as
Yeah,
well.
it's a therapy,
because
yeah.
it therapies you to come out of whatever is biting you. So rather thinking it in, you think it out loud.
Yeah.
You think it out and you say it loud.
Yeah.
And
And once
it's not,
you say
it's not
it
like
out,
you're mad. It's like
you
you're
get-
saying
you
the
get
anger out.
relieved.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
get
you get
relieved,
relieved.
yeah.
Yeah,
Nice
that's
one,
that's
yeah.
absolutely correct.
So is there more to read?
Just a little bit, just like say the last thing I've just got is just exercise helps as well,
Oh.
and eating healthy. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
about it. And
That's-
just to try and make yourself happy.
That's
Do
true.
you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you all said, you're the only person that can truly make that difference in your
It
life.
should
in
be
your
you, yeah.
hand.
Yeah.
So it's in your hands. But anyway, I feel like we've had a very nice discussion today about depression. It's
Me
been
too.
amazing having you guys here.
Thank you very
Every time
much.
I have
Thank
you
you.
on here, you just really very like you contribute a lot and you say a lot of things that are very helpful. So we hope to see you again. Thank you to everyone that's been watching online as
Thank you very
well.
much.
Once again, my name is Toluwa on Youth Compass on the DFM, and we see you next Friday.
Thank you. God bless you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
This is DFM, the station with many faces.
This beat ain't normal.
And they call you no dancer. I say we can call you some more. Yeah, you leave me no choice, so very soon I go up here for your demand. Anyway, the time dress on. When I saw you last night at the club.
Tune in to DFM Radio every Friday morning at 9 a.m. with your one and only Toluva Madriola as she brings to you the Youth Compass Show live on DFM Radio Manchester. Sponsored by Dangerous Media.
But I'm in the middle of the street. How did I ever let you?
Where the youth at?
This is DFM, the station with many faces.